All right, we're coming back.
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Turn on, leave on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan, Upstate.
High school football rules on the Saturday morning scramble.
Only on the Fan, Upstate.
Keeping the show rolling on this Saturday morning, it is Saturday morning scramble high school football conversation happening right now on the Fan Upstate 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, anywhere in the world on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. We are also live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as of right now, so you can not only listen to the show, but you can watch the show again on our Twitter page at The Cole Bryson, at The Fan Upstate, at Fan Scramble. That's the Saturday Morning Scramble Twitter page. On YouTube at The Fan Upstate and on Facebook. So many ways for you to get in touch with the show. If you want to text into the show, you can do that as well. 71307. Start your text with the word fan. If you were at a game last night and want to get in on the conversation, you can do so. Phone lines open as well. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. Hit us up on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas Fan Phone. Final Saturday scramble of the year, as we have been live at a different Ingles every Saturday morning, Alex, and it's been a fun year. But a lot of teams' season coming to an end down the stretch. Again, last night in the Upper State Championship weekend. Let's start with a game that you were at. Gaffney falls to Northwestern. We knew, as we talked about this game last week, Alex, that it was going to be a tough game for Gaffney. Northwestern's a very good team. However, if you would have told me that Gaffney scored 40 points last night, I would have told you, man, what a win for Gaffney, scoring 40 points with that defense that Gaffney's had all season. That should get it done. However, the Northwestern offense, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anything on the Gaffney defense of what happened last night. 58-40 was the final. Alex, you were there. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Cole, I mean, you said it. Typically, when you're talking about a Gaffney team, if they're scoring 40 points, you're talking about Gaffney winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
Last night came out of the gate and looked very good on both sides of the ball coming out of the gate. I mean, just absolutely. I mean, let's just put it this way. The final score was 58-40. The score in the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, was 6-3. So, I mean, that tells you what happened in the rest of the game. But, no, I mean, you talk about Gaffney had to sling the ball around the yard a little bit more than what they're used to last night. I mean, 492 total yards for Gaffney last night. But only 68 of that came on the ground. And when you're Gaffney and you really kind of pride yourself on splitting the game up, splitting the offense up a little bit, and it's you're kind of even on the run game and the pass game. When you only have 68 rushing yards, especially against a Northwestern team that's going to air it out, they've got that air raid offense. They're going to be able to move the ball on you. It's going to be difficult to keep up with that. And that was what we saw with Gaffney last night. Once they got into a shootout, I had some doubts that Gaffney was going to be able to get the win once it got to be kind of that shootout status or that shootout stage. But, Javon Gilmore.
Yeah, let's get some stats.
Yeah, sorry. Javon Gilmore looked really good last night. He was 30 of 49.
Wow. Threw the ball a lot. Yeah, 30 of 49, 424 yards. Had one passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions came late in the game, just kind of a desperation pass. Yeah.
The other interception was a tipped pass that went right into the defender's hands. Kendaris Bailey had a rushing touchdown last night for Gaffney, something that you don't hear very often. Kendaris Bailey, 44 yards at that. Jamarcus Smith had 3 touchdowns last night. So, again, you talk about Jamarcus Smith needing to get the ball in his hands for Gaffney to win games. That's something that you thought would have happened last night with it being a 3-touchdown game for Jamarcus Smith. But, only 5 carries for him last night. Jada McDowell had a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown out of a wheel route. So Gaffney overall offensively looked really, really good last night. The defense was unable to stop that Northwestern air raid offense. So.
It's a tough loss for Gaffney last night, as we knew that it was going to be tough going in. But, the story now turns to who's going to replace Dan Jones. And the Gaffney Indians falling last night to Northwestern. Look, Northwestern is a really, really good football team. Paige Walford's done a great job at Northwestern High School. And we knew going into the game that Gaffney was going to have to play a near-perfect game in order to win. I just did not expect. I'll tell you, I picked Northwestern to win the game. I did not expect, though, them to carve up Gaffney's defense the way they did. I know Thanksgiving was last week, but they were still carving it. I mean, do you have how many total offensive yards Northwestern had on the night as a team?
Yeah, they had 557 total offense.
That's unbelievable.
And that was 360 through the air, 197 on the ground, which, you talk about a team putting up near 200 rushing yards on that Gaffney defense and the Gaffney defensive front.
Yep.
That is impressive.
That right there. That's what surprises me. Yeah. I mean, I would not have, because Gaffney's defense, man, all season long, especially against the run. Gaffney's defense has been so good this year. And again, you get to the upper state title game, you know that the team you're playing is going to be just as good, if not better than you are, because, they earned it. Like, they earned that spot there, just like Gaffney did. But man, that was surprising to see their offense carve up the defense the way they did last night. A big win for Northwestern over Gaffney.
And I'll tell you what I'll tell you what kind of was what changed the kind of momentum of the game. Second quarter, Northwestern, they score. There's a personal foul. I never really got a good explanation on what it was, but there was a personal foul penalty called on Gaffney. It was assessed on the kickoff. So Northwestern now has gone up for the first time in the game. They're up 13-12. Well, they come out the ensuing kickoff, and they line up to go for an onside kick.
Yeah,
and,
I saw that.
And Gaffney's hands team just was not ready for the onside kick.
What a gutsy play call that was.
It is. It's very gutsy.
Was that first half?
That was in the first half. That was in the second quarter. And from that moment on, you could just kind of tell, even when Gaffney came back in the third quarter and made it a 4 or a 6-point game, and it was 38-32, and had the chance after a big interception, had the chance to go up and take the lead back. You could just tell that Gaffney just really the mindset and the energy on the sideline just wasn't there anymore.
And again, we talked about it last night, having to go tick for tack and keep up with that Trojans offense. When Paige Walford pulls that, I saw that tweet where you said they kicked it onside and got it, and I thought, man, like not that it can, not that the game can be over in the first half, but you talk about a statement play. That was a statement play last night for Northwestern. So a big win for them to advance to the state championship. No one really surprised if you would have said, hey, Northwestern will be playing for a state championship this year. But congratulations to them. Last night, Dutch Fork over Spartanburg, 24-0. Somerville over Sumter, 35-6. Just mentioned Northwestern Gaffney. And that was a 58-40 game, or a 58-40 win, rather, for the Trojans. Irmo, Alex, a 29-25 win over White Knoll. Irmo and Coach Bland playing for a state championship. I saw them back in week 1, I believe. And I told you, talked about it then, how impressed I was with Irmo. And here they are playing for a state championship team, or playing for a state championship. And Aaron Brand at quarterback, the coach's son, he is so talented. And that's a fun team to watch. So congratulations to Irmo. West Side, no real issues last night. I thought that game might be a little closer with West Side and South Point. 35-14 win for the West Side Rams, Alex. There was a couple of big plays as Todd Shaughnessy who does a great job covering prep sports for a local outlet. Todd was there and was doing some live tweets, and I believe there was one pass that kind of broke the game open from Cutter Woods to Armani Weaver for 50 yards last night. That
Wow.
kind of broke that game open. So a big night for Westside. Congratulations to them for the second straight year.
Yeah.
They will be playing in a state championship. They won it last year, and you said it. They got the machine rolling down there. So South Florence 27-20 over North Augusta. Here's the game that I was at: Belton Honeypath over Mountain View Prep. Alex, one of the best high school football games I have seen in a long time last night. And by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, it was cold last night. I don't know if you know that.
Was it cold?
It was a little bit chilly. But that's just football weather, man. Belton Honeypath last night, 30-22 over Mountain View Prep. So 30-22, Alex, is not indicative of what happened. So here I am on my phone tweeting out the final score with like 10 seconds to go.
Which was?
The final score was...
Which would have been...
Yeah, the final score was 30-22.
Yeah.
It was 24-22 with like 10 seconds to go.
Okay.
And Belton Honeypath recovered a fumble and ran it in the end zone as time expired to go up 30-22. So with two, here's what happened. Late in that game, Marquise Henderson had a drive set up that was a BHP drive. MVP was actually driving one drive before that. Bryson Drummond for MVP throws an interception to Colby Bates of BHP. 2:31 to go at that point. The Bears get the football back, and Marquise Henderson, the Clemson commit, from his own 19-yard line. Alex, his own 19 house call, touchdown, 24-16 with 2:19 to go. Gets even better. 24-16, 2:19 to go. That is a one-possession game.
Yep.
MVP returns the kick for a touchdown.
Oh, wow.
Returns the kick for a touchdown to make it 24-22. So MVP goes for two, right?
Yep.
As they should. Here's the crazy part about the 2-point conversion. And I put the video on Twitter last night. 2-point conversion was a pass to the corner of the end zone, no good. Again, I'm not a coach, but if I have a 2-point conversion to tie the game in the Upper State Championship, you know who's getting the football? Jalen McGill.
Yeah.
Jalen McGill is going to get the football on a 2-point conversion. And, boy, I was stunned to see them throw it. You see how long of a pass it was from the quarterback to the corner of the end zone last night? The 2-point conversion, again, I understand what you're trying to do there in one-on-one coverage, but this is long pass. It is. I mean, again, you can see the video for yourself on my Twitter at @TheColeBryson. But look, I'm telling you, man, that fourth quarter last night was one of the best fourth quarters. It was a great football game. Two really good teams, MVP and BHP. Here's the controversy, though. BHP, let me go back to my Twitter so I can make sure I'm getting this right. I told you Marquise Henderson. Okay, so they have the ball, 2:19 to go. They're up 20. They're up. It was 17-16, I believe, right? So BHP has the ball from their own 19. 2:19 in the ball game. Marquise Henderson gets the football from his own 19 and scores.
Yep.
However, it was a bad decision. Could have been a bad decision to score there if Marquise Henderson just falls and goes down somewhere up near the 15-20 yard line. The game's over. They can run the ball out, run the clock out, and they win. However, the danger of scoring there is you keep it a one-possession game. They scored. MVP runs the next kickoff back to make it 24-22, and all MVP has to do is get the 2-point conversion, and it's a tie game. So, hindsight 2020, BHP won the game. However, if they would have lost the game, it would have been because they scored too quickly. How crazy is that to think about? Yeah. But it was an incredible run. Marquise Henderson's so good. I mean, he's fantastic. Two really good running backs last night, Jalen McGill and Marquise Henderson. Colby Bates was phenomenal last night for BHP. He had 2 interceptions. And, man, Ben back in the Ingles Market Studios, we had some technical issues here on site this morning. But, Ben, did you get the audio that I sent you from last night by chance? if you need a few minutes to get that ready, let me know.
Yeah, let's get that together.
All right, Ben's going to get the audio ready. I have audio from, I emailed it to you, Ben. It is from Russell Blackston, as well as Marquise Henderson, and then I have one of the celebration. So
just a moment.
Ben is gathering those back in the Ingles Market studios. Want to remind you that Alex Guest and I are live on location at Ingles this morning. We are at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg, South Pine Street in Spartanburg, the east side of Spartanburg, and it is the final Saturday scramble of the season. Alex Guest, I saw the tear in your eye a few minutes ago that you don't have to get up at the crack of dawn on Saturday mornings anymore.
You know, I think the thing with me is, I mean, if your team that you're following or the team that you're a fan of or whatever, if you're just having a
timestamp you want, Cole, just the beginning,
and you don't have if you're having a bad season and you don't have like playoff implications, you kind of know when your season's winding down.
Sure.
When you're in the playoffs, you don't. I mean, you want to win. You expect to win, and so I think with me, the football season, it just ends so abruptly.
It does.
You know,
it does, especially if your team's in it. You know.
Yeah.
So, all right, Ben, whatever audio and whatever order you have, let's fire it off. I have audio of Russell Blackston, Marquise Henderson, as well as the post-game celebration.
Russell Blackston.
So I believe we have the Russell Blackston audio first from after last night's win.
That's what I'm talking about. How about them Bears, baby?
Tell me about the way them Bears finished the football game.
Okay.
Fourth quarter game, your guy stepped up and made play.
I tell you what, Kobe Bates, the senior, man, 2 interceptions. What an unbelievable night. Our defense took over in the second half, having a rough time offensively. That's what good teams do. They complement each other. But how it goes off to our defense, and what an opportunity here. This group of 24 seniors go to the state championship. Okay, I told our guys all along that one of these two teams is going to be playing for the state championship, and we're here.
Coach, why don't you tell your team to have
And it's 24 minutes. One of these teams are going to win. We told our kids that we got to try and win the third quarter, okay? But if we win the third quarter, we got to try and win the fourth. Yeah, it's a tough sledding out there, but hey, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
What's the attitude right now?
Well, I mean, I tell you what, we're truly blessed. I want to thank God. I want to thank this Bear family. All these people came out here to watch us. We're truly blessed.
Tell me about Marquez. He scored, receiving, rushing. He scored that last touchdown.
45 seconds left.
He struggled in the first half. Put the ball on the ground a couple times.
Well, that goes a little bit to what they were doing. Defensive stack in the box. But I tell you what, he's an unbelievable player. We put him on defense, and he answered the bell. And this is things defensively. I tell you what, we had that big sack down there, and we also had those 2 INTs by senior Kobe Bates. So unbelievable. They still feel the best yet to come for this football team.
Coach, were you a little nervous when they scored as quick as they did?
Oh, that's crazy scoring a kickoff return, man. I wouldn't have bet that on anything. Told our kids all week long on if our kickoff team wins, we win.
That's good.
That was Russell Blackston, man. Like that dude, Alex, last night, I tell you this, you have no affiliation to a team. You're there covering them, right? I've never pulled for BHP, never been to BHP before, right? But seeing him last night after the game, he was so ecstatic. And I know you got a chance to talk to him after a game earlier in the season, a game you were at, Alex. But, man, he was so pumped up, so fired up after that win for BHP last night. And those guys worked so hard, man. And then a tough one for Mountain View Prep is
Marquise Henderson.
Those guys were very upset, but you got to love the passion and the fire from Russell Blackston.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it, Cole. I had the chance to talk to Coach Blackston. It was actually after the jamboree that was hosted at Gaffney, and I forget who. I forget what team BHP was matched up against in that jamboree, but it was a situation where their starting quarterback was out with the flu that game or that jamboree that game.
Yeah.
They had some injuries up front. They were kind of dealing with just really trying to get themselves healthy before the season started. And Coach Blackston, he had the same attitude, the same just sound in his voice of excitement for the season then that he did in that clip that you just heard there. And, I mean, he's just an all around, he kind of gives me that military vibe,
Yeah.
like everything is going to be just in line and in
That was
place.
fantastic.
And we're talking about a team that went 13-1 last year and lost in the semifinals. So, I mean, he's had them there before. And to get to the state championship this year with a team that he said at the beginning of the season, a very young team, and the excitement in his voice last night, that was pure,
so awesome,
pure
man.
genuine,
So
and just
awesome.
absolutely awesome. Congratulations. Hats off to BHP, and I do want to give kudos to Hillcrest High School as well for letting them play that game.
Yeah,
last
they were the
night
true winner
at,
last
at
night.
Hillcrest. Yeah,
They were the true winner.
Yeah.
Cha-ching,
Yeah,
cha-ching,
absolutely.
cha-ching. Congratulations, Bennett Swaggart. Congratulations, Hillcrest. Y'all won last night as well. Cha-ching. All right. By the way, it was a great turnout. I mean, there were so many people. Marquise Henderson, running back, he can do it all. I know a lot of talks about him possibly going over to defense at Clemson, but when he gets there, here is audio from him last night. Maybe.
So,
There he is.
That day, my team been working on how to get better, be a better person. I'm so.
BHP's going to play for a state title your
Yes,
senior
sir.
year. What does that mean?
It means a lot. It's the first time in 20 years. I told my teammates I got them this year. I ain't going to let them down again. And you see the outcome.
A little bit of a rough first half. What did you do mentally at halftime?
My coach just told me, man, to get out your head.
1 minute.
Be you. 4 yards carry. We've been preaching that all week. 4 yards carry. Coach Black, Coach Manager been telling me 4 yards carry, so that's what we did.
Were you holding on to it extra time at the end?
Yes, sir. I fumbled twice, so I had to get in my mind. I can't fumble no more. That's what happened. But all props to MVP and their team. It's a great team. They built something special over there.
Was you just beat an undefeated team? What was the attitude coming into this game?
We don't care about the record. I mean, we know what we can do. We know who we are, so that's it.
What's the fan base? What's that mean?
Hey, best sophomore in the state, man. Y'all come get them tight end. Best sophomore in the state, bro.
All right, that was Marquise Henderson after the win last night. And then one more piece of audio. This was, Alex, the best audio you'll ever hear. Coach Blackston so fired up after the interview. He intentionally started this right in front of the camera to get this piece of audio. And this was a celebration after last night's win. Just a fantastic night for BHP. Winners last night, Belton Honeypath over Mountain View Prep, 30-22. Congratulations to Russell Blackston, who we've had on the show many times this year. It was so good to see him last night. And BHP MVP, what a game it was. I'm telling you, man, just one of the best high school games I have seen in a very, very long time. We'll take a break. Final segment of hour number 1 coming at you. We'll continue the conversation, take your phone calls. If you were at a game last night and want to get in on the conversation, you can do so in the very next segment. Also, want to say thanks to Ingalls Markets, Founders Federal Credit Union, and Lumos Internet. Lumos, built for the future.
All right, we're clear.
Fan Upstate. This is a Saturday morning Scramble, powered by Founders Federal Credit Union and your local Ingles Market.
This is the Fan Upstate.
All right.
97.7 FM Greenville.
We are back.
97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Streaming everywhere on the Odyssey app.
Final segment of our number one. It is the Saturday morning Scramble on the Fan Upstate, the final Saturday Scramble of the year. So good to be with you this morning. I'm Cole Bryson. He is Alex Guest to my right. We are live at 2000 South Pine Street, Ingles in Spartanburg, on the east side of Spartanburg, as we continue the high school football conversation for another hour and 15 minutes or so. If you were at a game last night or want to talk about something that happened last night or happening this weekend, you can do so. 71307 is the way you can text into the show. Phone lines open as well. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. So good to be with you this morning, and so good to be with you all season long, as it has been a very exciting high school football season. Alex, we do this every week in terms of what the biggest surprises were, but I'm going to throw a curveball at you, and I'm going to answer it as well, but not the biggest surprise from last night. But your mind, 2024 high school football season, your biggest surprise looking back on the year, as we've had a lot of good football, a lot of good teams, a lot of fun interviews that we've done right here on the Scramble. But what are, not just one thing, what are a few things in your mind that really stood out to you, surprised you about this past high school football season?
Well, I think really, Cole, when you started posing that question to me, the first thing that came to mind, and probably will get some flack from a lot of listeners to this station, but the first thing that came to mind is how Burns overcame the adversity that they had this season to get the 4 big wins that they had and get a good playoff seeding and get that win over Lexington in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, if you would have told me that Burns and the games that they lost, they were in.
Yeah.
If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that Burns would have played that competitively, having to go on the road and travel every single week, and you had all the transfers out of the program at the end of last season and over the off season, and that they were still going to be that competitive and still going to win a first round playoff game that had to be played at technically a neutral site. I would have maybe given them 2 wins, not all 4 of the wins.
No, it was a tough year for them for sure. Obviously, losing as many players as they did to Westside, the Westside Rams. They lost a lot of players to the transfer portal, which is alive and well at the high school football level. But you're right. It was a tough year for them, a very tough start. They did improve, to your point, as the season went on. And I'll throw another surprise in there. In year 1 of Mountain View Prep, I was surprised of how well they played, how quickly they came together. Look, they had good players. There's no surprise there. You have good players, you'll usually win a lot of football games. But in order to gel and for the chemistry to work as quickly as it did for Mountain View Prep and Gray Ramsey, if you would have told me they would be undefeated playing in the Upper State Championship game, I would have been a little bit surprised at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about, they played a tough schedule, regardless of who you're playing or who's on your team and what kind of talent you have on your team. The schedule that they had, very tough schedule. I mean, you talk about St. Joe's, who, St. Joe's had a down year this year, but you had a game against St. Joe's in which you beat them 48-21. You had a game against Crescent early on in which you were down 21-6 at halftime, and you came back and beat them 48-21. The Asheville School out of North Carolina, they're a really good football program, and you just smacked them 42-21. Then you had the Chapman, the Woodruff, the Broome in your region. And, while Broome had a down year this year, Chapman and Woodruff, both very good teams, and Chapman also, again, a down year. Yeah. I think just the teams that had the down years as well kind of was a surprise. I wouldn't have thought that Woodruff would have been the region champion out of that or would have been MVP was the region champion, but I would have thought that Woodruff would have been right up there. I thought that it would have been Chapman or Broome. I wouldn't have picked Clinton to be playing in a 2A state championship game next week. So I think some of those are the big surprises too of the teams that had the down years that you wouldn't have expected.
Keith on the Facebook stream says, as a graduate of Dutch Fork, a part of the first 3-year class, I'm proud of my school. Go Foxes. 4-year class opened in 92. I graduated in 96. Keith, appreciate you being a part of the show this morning. And yes, congratulations to your Dutch Fork Silver Fox. They wrote a song about Dutch Fork, and it goes, all I do is win no matter what. That's what Tom Knotts does, Alex.
Yeah, and, Cole, you posed to me the question last night.
Ooh, it was a good question, right?
It was a good question. What was your question?
Did you find the answer first?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
yes.
So my question to you was...
Do you know the answer?
I thought I did.
Okay.
I thought I did.
Okay.
I maybe am missing one or two people, but last night, I called Alex Guest, and I asked the question, how many coaches can say that they have beaten Tom Knotts not once, but twice? Not many coaches. Again, I hadn't done any research. I still haven't. I have no idea. But off the top of my head, I could not think of many. You and I were, as we were both driving to our games last night, we were talking about it. We knew Dan Jones was one of them. I did not know if there were more than one. Dan Jones was a coach that has beaten Dutch Fork twice, beaten Tom Knotts at Dutch Fork specifically twice. And, Alex, the question needs an answer.
Well, Cole, I will lead it with this. There are 10 coaches that have beaten Tom Knotts.
In general?
At least one time.
Okay. So there's only 10 to start there. There are only 10 coaches.
There are only 10 coaches that have ever beaten Tom Knotts.
That before
you
say anything else, though, before you say another word, that right there is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. Only 10 coaches have beaten Tom Knotts at Dutch Fork.
Yes.
That's nuts.
Of those 10, there's not a single one that is now an active head coach that has beaten him twice.
Because of Dan Jones?
Because Dan Jones is now technically, I guess you could say, no longer an active head coach because he's retired.
That's true.
Dan Jones, 2 wins against Tom Knotts in state championships games, 2012 and 2021. Then you talk about Chuck Reedy, who coached at Goose Creek, had 2 wins against Tom Knotts, 2012 and 2013. A name that a lot of folks probably know, Bob Hanna, who was at Irmo, had wins over Tom Knotts in 2010, Tom Knotts' first year at Dutch Fork, and in 2013. Dan Pippin at both Greenwood and North Augusta actually had a 4-2 record over Tom Knotts.
At
Tom
Dutch
Knotts,
Fork?
yeah.
Oh my
Tom
God.
Knotts only beat Dan Pippin twice in 6
you're telling
meetings.
me Dan Pippin beat him 4 times?
Dan Pippin beat him 4 times, 2010, 2011, 2013, and 2015.
That's unbelievable.
And
no
then,
coaches beat him more than that.
No coaches beat him more than that, but the last coach beat him 3 times in 2012, 2014, and 2015, Dave Gutshaw.
See, I thought there was only 2 for Gutshaw. I was thinking about Gutshaw last night, and I couldn't think of 3. What were the 3?
2012, a 45-21 win for Dorman.
State championship.
No, that was September of 2012.
Regular season.
Yeah. 2 regular season wins for Dorman.
Never, but okay, so 2 regulars. Okay, see, those are the ones I forgot about. And then what was the postseason?
The postseason was a quarterfinal, so day after Thanksgiving, 2015 win for Dorman.
Yeah,
49-19 was the final. Yeah,
Gutshaw rolled them that night.
Gutshaw
and
rolled.
then went on to the state championship.
Went on to the state championship in 2015
and lost.
And they lost. Yeah,
I was there. I just can't remember who it was.
Who did they play?
Hold on a minute. Hold on. 2015. I was there. Was at South Carolina. because I remember the two against Dutch Fork. That's the ones I'm thinking of at Williams Bryce, Dorman, Dutch Fork. Oh God, Fort D.
Yeah.
Fort D.
Yeah.
Yes. I know it was
so.
Fort Dorchester.
So
yes.
they beat Dutch, or they beat Dutch Fork. They went on the next week in the semifinals because the season was pushed back a week, much like this year. They beat Burns in the semifinals the next week, and then they lost to Fort Dorchester in the state championship game in 2015.
Wow, that's right. That's great. So going back to the original question now, because of Pitt, that's still impressive, by the way. There are 0 active head coaches.
0 active head coaches in the
beaten
state of South Carolina that
twice.
have beaten him twice.
Wow, that's unbelievable. I mean, that's just incredible to think about, man. The dominance that they've had, and now Dutch Fork playing for a state championship again. And I know you've got your research in front of you. This state championship will be what, number 910 for Dutch Fork?
Yeah,
is that right? 911.
Let's see. They won in 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So what's that? That's 6.
Say it again. 13,
16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
That's 6.
22, 23.
8.
So this would be number 9.
So he's won 8.
They win. Yes. He's won
God.
8 in the state of South Carolina in just technically only 14 seasons.
And you know what's
because
wild?
This season's not over yet.
He came to Dutch Fork at the tail end of the Bobby Bentley era at Burns. And what Bobby Bentley did at Burns, we thought no one would ever replicate. Ever. I mean, it was great. And I know other programs like Spartanburg and Gaffney had been successful, but what Bobby did at Burns, we thought that was it.
Yeah.
We'll never see that again. But boy, were we wrong. Tom Knotts and Dutch Fork have just absolutely had a stranglehold on the state of South Carolina now for the past decade or more. So and again, I made a mistake. I was thinking 16 was his first. So you're saying 16 was his second, right?
Yes.
Because I was at that 16 game.
Yep.
I was on the call for that. And so that was a Wow.
So their first appearance in a state championship was in 2012. Gaffney beat them in 2012. And then they were back in the championship the following season and won in 2013.
So it took him 2 years to get that program to the state championship.
He came in 2010. So 4 seasons.
10,
or
3
3 seasons to get them to the championship. 4 seasons.
3 seasons.
And you talked about Bobby Bentley. There's only one head-to-head matchup between Tom Knotts and Bobby Bentley.
2011.
2013.
Ooh. 13?
Yeah, 13. Tom Knotts and Dutch Fork won it in the state semifinals, 31-21.
Oh, I was
at
thinking
Burns.
11. Say that again?
2013, state semifinals.
Okay.
At Burns.
Okay.
I actually was at part of this game.
Okay.
I left at one point, but 31-21, Dutch Fork defeated
Man, that's crazy.
Bobby Bentley and the Burns Rebels.
How about that? All right, we'll get back into the conversation of what happened last night. Final hour of the show coming your way right here on the Fan Upstate. He's Alex Guest. I'm Cole Bryson, and this is the Saturday Morning Scramble. Hour number 2 of the Saturday morning scramble coming your way. Final hour of the show, final hour of the
Don't
season.
say it.
Final show. You know, today was supposed to be
State
championship day.
yeah.
That's right. Well, state championship weekend.
Yeah.
However, it's not. Hurricane Helene pushed
Thanks,
things
Helene.
back a week. So
should have been named Hurricane. Never mind.
yeah, don't say that.
Not going to.
Yeah, please don't get political on this.
Oh no.
okay.
Well, no.
Okay, I didn't know where you went. Anyways, state championship weekend is now next weekend.
Yeah.
And we will have the matchups here in just a few minutes of all of the state championship matchups and all 5 classifications. But 6 games, not 5, 6 games, Alex, right? Because
6, yep.
you've got 2 divisions in 5A, so you will
Yep.
have 2 5A winners. Welcome into the Saturday Scramble. He is Alex Guest. I'm Cole Bryson. Saturday Scramble brought to you by Ingalls Markets. We are at Ingalls right now, 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg, the east side of Spartanburg. Also brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. If you are not a member at Founders, you need to be. I am. You should be as well. They're fantastic. And I want to say thanks to Lumos Internet. Lumos, built for the future. Check them out as well. Thank you to all of our sponsors this season, to Melissa and those at Ingalls who have been fantastic, to those back in the Ingalls Market Studios. Ben Pittman, I believe, has anchored down the show all season long. Appreciate him and appreciate you, our listeners, for being along with us as we love high school football conversation. We know you do as well. Our numbers have been off the charts this season in terms of what we've done. And also a thanks to all of the players and coaches who have come on the show this season, Alex. I can't even begin to name them all because the list is far too long. But this show doesn't happen without the coaches and the players that we have on a weekly basis, and they're fantastic. And we are very, very blessed to have some really good coaches here in the Upstate who are media friendly, who love coming on and talking high school football with us. I saw several coaches from the Upstate last night over at BHP just taking the game. And man, it's good to be in the Upstate where we have so many good head coaches. I saw Harry Cavanis last night at Chapman. Good to see him, and good to see Bennett Swaggart of Hillcrest last night. But speaking of last night, Alex Guest, all of the scores, 12 of them from the entire state.
12 games.
Here are
the entire state.
Here are last night's scores from around the area with Alex Guest.
Can I touch the?
Well, you probably have to.
Okay.
You probably have to.
Okay.
I just, I'm a perfectionist.
You're
over
just
here.
getting upset.
No, I'm a perfectionist.
Okay.
You know, I like things to be perfect. And by the way, we're talking about the stream. And speaking of the stream, you can watch the show live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as well. All right, Alex, let her rip.
Yeah, well, we'll just go 5A to 1A today. This
5A to
hour.
1A.
Yeah, we went 1A to 5A earlier, so 5A to 1A. Dutch Fork, a 24-0 winner over Spartanburg last night. The Somerville Green Wave will take on the Silver Foxes. 2 color mascots, I guess. 2 color, yeah, because you got the Silver Foxes and the Green Wave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it would have been Spartanburg and Sumter, it would have been like Vikings and Gamecocks. That's boring. Yeah. But now you've got Somerville Green Wave. Oh, all right. Somerville, a 35. Stop giving me that look. All right.
Just go on.
35-6 winner, Somerville over Sumter last night. Northwestern got a 58-40 win over Gaffney. I think that was the highest scoring game of the night across the entire state.
I would bet so, yeah.
58-40. Irmo, a 29-25 win over White Knoll. So Irmo and Northwestern will match up in the 5A Division II state championship. That will be the weekend capper next week at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Westside got a 35-14 win over South Point last night. They will take on South Florence, who won the lower state in 4A, 27-20 over North Augusta. Both road teams won in 3A. So Belton Honeypath, a 30-22 winner over Mountain View Prep. Oceanside Collegiate, a 42-7 winner over Loris. So BHP will take on Oceanside next week in the 3A state championship. Clinton got a 32-21 win last night over Fairfield Central. They have a matchup with the Warhorses of Barnwell, who got a 37-14 win over Manning last night. Abbeville 42-18, just absolutely throttled Louisville last night, and they will take on the Cross Trojans, who were 36-7 winners over Lakeview, the Wild Gators of Lakeview, in the lower state 1A bracket. So your state championship games next week, Cole, I will go in chronological order.
Uh-oh.
Your 2A state championship game, which will take place on Thursday at 2 p.m.
Okay, Thursday, 2 p.m. That is like 5 days from now, right?
Yeah.
That's quick.
Yeah.
Quick.
Thursday, 2 p.m., your 2A state championship, Clinton and Barnwell. Your 1A state championship, Thursday at 7:30 p.m., so still 5 days from now, will be Abbeville and Cross. Your 5A Division I state championship, so your big division, your Dutch Fork and your Somerville matchup. Guess when that is?
Dutch Fork Somerville should be prime time on a Friday night, right?
How about 2 p.m. on a Friday afternoon?
So not prime time.
Yeah, not prime time.
Okay.
Not prime time at all. That's like when you would play the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Pop-Tart, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Knotts will probably file a lawsuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not being in. I'm kidding.
So 5A Division I will be 2 p.m. on Friday. Following that at 7:30 p.m. on Friday will be your 4A championship between South Florence and West Side. Then your 3A championship game will be the noon kickoff on Saturday the 14th, which will be between Belton Honeypath and Oceanside. And then your weekend capper, Northwestern and Irmo at 6 p.m. on Saturday.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
That'll be
a good one. I mean, that one's prime time, you know.
I'll tell you this. I've seen Irmo. I have not seen Northwestern.
I saw Northwestern.
They're good. Irmo's good. I just don't know. I don't know if Irmo has the firepower to keep up.
Sure.
Again, I could be wrong. Irmo could win it. From what I saw last night, though, in 29-degree weather, you score 58 points. That blew me away.
Yeah.
It blew me away. And my early lean there is Northwestern over Irmo, a really good Irmo team that I saw in week one, and they've probably gotten a lot better. They were a lot of fun to watch. AJ Brand is a phenomenal football player, and they're a good team. They're a really good team. So that'll be a fun game for sure. But yeah, Dutch Fork at 2 p.m. That's strange.
2 p.m. on a Friday.
If
it's 2 p.m. on Saturday, okay. 2 p.m. on a Friday. That's strange. High school league needs to figure it out. Needs to figure out their
and then how did you and I do?
Well, we both went 4-2 on our picks last night, Cole. And I'm just going to say this: if we made championship picks, which I don't know if you want to or not,
yeah, we will.
The 6 games, I'm going clean sweep for the upstate teams. The upstate teams. I mean, Dutch Fork. I don't know if you can.
Personal bias?
Yeah, that's personal bias. I just think upstate football is better than lower state football, honestly.
Yeah,
but
okay.
That's just personal bias. So I'll go on and get my picks out there right now. Last night we both went 4-2. Cole. The game that we both got wrong was Clinton and Fairfield Central. We both picked Fairfield Central.
That was a hard game to pick.
It really was.
I went back and forth on it, and obviously we both picked Fairfield Central, both wrong on it. I guess I underestimated Clinton last night.
Yeah.
But what a win for them, man. What a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you talk about, Fairfield Central, for me, when I'm kind of thinking about like 2A football, Fairfield Central is kind of always there. They're always in the conversation. I mean, they went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight years between 2012 and 2017 as region champions. They had 9+ wins in all 6 of those seasons. They won their region in 2020. They won their region back in 2009. Like, they've always just been in that conversation for me. Don't get me wrong. Clinton, state champions back in 2009, but they really were kind of the new kids on the block here for me this year.
But what a job, though, Corey Fountain's done
at
Clinton. he's been there, what, 6 years?
He has been there. Let's see here.
I mean,
he's been there
he's
6 seasons.
Six
He's
seasons.
52-19. So
That's unbelievable.
I really
man.
don't know why I'm thinking, oh yeah, Clinton's the new kids on the block here, but especially because if you look at it, Corey Fountain, the last 4 seasons for them, 2021 they were 11-2, 13-1 in 22, 10-3 last year, 11-2 this year. I mean, they've been in the quarterfinals and the semifinals every year for the last 4 seasons.
He deserves a ton of credit for that. I mean, and again, I'm not saying Clinton wasn't a storied program before, but that they've just been dominant. And what he's done there, man, I tell you what, they made a home run hire 6 years ago when they hired Corey Fountain. That was just a fantastic hire.
Absolutely.
And Clinton, surprised us last night. They played a really good team last night.
Yeah.
They went up 7-0, and hats off to Corey Fountain because that is a well-oiled machine. You talk about old school football. That's what they do over at Clinton. So congratulations to him and Corey Fountain. Let's go to the phone lines, though, where we are joined by an upper state champion head football coach, Russell Blackston of BHP. Coach, did you get any sleep after last night's upper state championship win?
I tell you what, it was a fast sleep. I know that. I still feel it this morning. We're just truly blessed, and somehow we found a way. I told our team last night there's a lot of programs out there. It was so much adversity we had during the game that could have folded and tucked tank and gave up.
Sure.
We were down 13-7, and they had that big run down there. We tackled them on the 2-yard line, 1st and goal on the 2, and somehow, some way, our defense kept about 3 downs. They kick a field goal. It's 16-7. If they go up, whatever that score would be, 20-7 right there. Instead, the game might be completely over. There's a bunch of series or one plays that what ifs would have been different. We're not the upper state champions, but I tell you what, it's what teams do. They just find a way. They just claw and scratch. Senior Colby Bates, man. Yeah. 2 interceptions, and then he's the one that deflected the pass on the 2-point conversion and into the game. I mean, I believe it was number 1 in that corner.
Yep.
And somehow, some way, he just got a hand in there and raked it out.
Coach, you're exactly right. It was back and forth. I can't remember a game that had so many what-if moments as last night's did, where what if this happened? What if this? It was just a back-and-forth game. Like you said, your Bears come out on top. Let me ask you this, though, a fun question, and you can talk about it now that you've won the game, but I brought this up in hour number 1 this morning. Any thought in your mind on the Marquise Henderson run, or you guys scored from your own 19-yard line with like just over 2 minutes to go? I was standing on the sideline thinking, oh no, they may have scored too fast. Did that ever cross your mind?
No, man. I'm one of those coaches. If you score, you're going to score. Yeah. I had some coaches say that too. I said, Coach, we got to go score. I mean, don't worry about it. You've got to see that play on video. Marquez Henderson fit through about 8 inches, and didn't get touched.
Wow.
How that happened, we ran our counter play to the right. The whole side blocked down, and the 2 H-backs went divided across and kicked it out. And if you could see that on video and see the space I think I found a picture from a newspaper reporter somewhere, and I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. What he was able to do right there.
No doubt.
He had a tough night, though. I mean, he'd put the ball on the ground 2 times and had a tough night. We just had to keep telling him to be him. He's the one that's got us here. He's the one that's going to take us out of here. And, and kid's a tough kid, man. He's resilient. He's a competitor. And, he played a good bit of defense last night. He picked that fumble up on the ditch and pitch there at the end of the game. And, got us out of there, man. He brought us to the dance. He's going to take us to the dance.
Absolutely. We're joined by Coach Russell Blackston, the head football coach of Belton Honeypath on the Saturday morning scramble. Coach, we've followed you guys. Obviously, we cover the teams in the upstate, and you guys all season long have been fantastic. But you told Alex to my right in the preseason jamboree that you were a young team this year. Does it surprise you to see where this team is now from the beginning of the season?
We had so many people back from last year's team. This was the expectation. We lost in the upper state championship last year to Daniel, and this was the expectation. We do have 24 seniors on the football team, but we do have a lot of kids still in that junior classification. But I tell you what, we're excited to be where we're at. It was the expectation, and we're truly blessed. We're going to the ship.
What do you look at when it comes to like the playoffs? You get to upper state from a game plan standpoint as a head football coach. What do you look at from a standpoint, coach, of not adding too much this late in the season, or is it actually reverse where you're taking things away from your offense, from your defense, more of a simplify mode down the stretch?
I think you look at a couple of things. Number one, you don't want to leave a stone unturned. You want to answer all the questions. You want to answer all the personnel. I think injuries come into it. How healthy are you at certain positions? I think you try to simplify a little bit because, you got to the point where you do need to add a wrinkle or two to have the opportunity to be successful. Just got to be healthy. You got to be fresh. You got to make sure it's still fun. This is the age where, you don't add time to the practice field. You take time off because you still want to make sure it's fun. Because with all the time that the high school league allows you to practice now, you still want to make sure it's fun. You take some time off, do a little bit more mental work with video. Definitely don't do anything in practice to get them injured. You want to make sure you get them to the dance at this point.
Coach, what was your first impression of first-year program Mountain View Prep last night? Obviously, their first loss of the season last night, and a lot of games they played not close at all. They did have a few close games down the stretch, but their first year in existence, and your thoughts on what was the first year you got to see them last night.
Ray Ramsey's done a good job with that program, their coaches as well. They've got good players, man. Running back's got 30 Division I offers, Ainsworth, and the kid. All those kids are good players, man. They were led by their defensive front. I thought 55 last night, defense mid, had as good a game as anybody we played against this year. That I thought was very, very good. I thought Big 77 was a big hammer in there to move, man, and we couldn't really get him out of there. Number 3, their linebacker's a very good player. Even though it is what it is. But they do have 19 seniors,
Yep.
How many first-year programs do you have that are 19 seniors? I've coached at the Scramble and the North-South. You have to put a team together in a week in those games, and sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. But they've done a good job putting that group together and done a good job of making those guys successful. Quarterback, he's a good player. He extended runs with his legs last night. So kicker was outstanding. They've done a good job. They answered all the bells and whistles when they put that thing together.
Coach, what does it mean? Last question for you before we let you run. What's it mean for the community over in Anderson? The fan base last night. I don't know if there was an open seat behind you. Your fan base turned out in a strong force last night, and they were loud. Definitely impact the game. What's it mean from a community standpoint for you guys to be playing for a state championship?
I tell you what, it's kind of old school. We're still a one high school, one district. Our 2 towns, everybody comes to our school. We don't get anybody from, because we're out there a little bit that comes from other schools. There's not much workforce for people to find and get jobs to come down here. Our people kind of work here or travel to Anderson or Greenville to work. And, we're just truly blessed, man. Our home games are packed. Barrett Nation, been there 25 years, man. And our folks have traveled wherever we've been. And we're just truly blessed, man. They do that for every single sport we have, from football all the way down to golf.
Wow.
They really support, and just truly blessed. And this thing was put together for a long time before me, since school was in 1966. We're just blessed with support, man, and they bleed red and blue. I tell you
Coach.
what, Marley Gamble, our team manager,
Yeah.
he was there from 1966 to 2016. I know Marley Gamble will be extremely proud right now. He passed away in 16, and it's just a pride thing. All our people went to school here. All my coaches went to school here. So it's just blessed, man. It really is.
Coach, congratulations on the win last night. So much appreciate you taking time, not just today, but all season long, to hop on with us. And best of luck this weekend in Orangeburg. We're pulling for you guys to bring it home.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We got to work cut out for us, for sure.
That's Russell Blackston, Belton Honeypath, Upper State champions. What a win last night. We'll continue the conversation on the other side right here at 2000 South Pine Street, Ingalls and Spartanburg. It is the Saturday morning scramble. Saturday's Scramble rolls on the Fan Upstate 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, anywhere in the world on the free Odyssey app. Also, you can watch the remainder of the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at the Fan Upstate. So many ways for you to get in touch with the show. Again, I want to say thanks to Ingalls Markets, Founders Federal Credit Union, and Lumos Internet. Lumos, built for the future. We're live this morning at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg. Again, 2000 South Pine Street on the east side of Spartanburg this morning. A lot of Spartanburg Vikings fans over in the area. Start with them, Alex. I'm sure upset. A tough one last night, Spartanburg Dutch Fork. I picked Spartanburg to win that game last night. I just felt like Spartanburg was due in a way where they beat Dutch Fork last year, lost to them this year early in the season, like 24-6, something like that. That game got cut short due to lightning. But then tonight, or last night rather, them going to Dutch Fork, if you would have told me they lost, I wouldn't have been surprised. But for them to be blanked last night, Alex, and not even get on the board, that was very surprising for me last night. Just goes to show how good Dutch Fork is. We've talked about Dutch Fork already. But from a Spartanburg standpoint, Alex guessed what a season it was. And correct me if I'm wrong here, 4 years Mark Hodge has been at Spartanburg High School, and in 4 years he's been to 2 upper state championships, 2020, 2021, 22. No, this is his fifth year. This is his 5th year. In the 5 years, he has been to 2 upper state championships, if I'm not mistaken. I think I have that right.
Yeah, that's correct, Cole. He in 2021 hosted the Upper State Championship. That was the year that Gaffney
Spartanburg,
that was the year that Gaffney went on it and beat Dutch Fork the following week in the state championship game. Excuse me. And then this year, again, their losses in the Upper State Championship games are to 2 very good teams in their own regard. So, I mean, you talk about that 21 Gaffney team went undefeated. They were a force to be reckoned with that year. And then you're talking about Dutch Fork this year. I think Dutch Fork this year we saw what Dutch Fork did last year and started the season 0-3. They went, 5-5 in the regular season last year, and then still went on and won the state championship. So I think this year's Dutch Fork team just kind of came out with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder and wanted to prove, hey, what we did last year isn't really what we're used to doing and what we want to do.
One of those coaches that Mark Hodge lost to in the Upper State Championships now out of the way.
Yeah.
So that clears a little bit of a path for him to get there. And again, I say that kind of tongue in cheek, right? In a joking sense, they will get there. It's a matter of time. We knew when Mark Hodge took the Spartanburg job that he would have them playing for a state championship. He's already been in 2 upper state championships in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's mighty impressive. Especially when you look around the region at other situations that have not been able to get there. So what Mark Hodge has done in a short 5 years has been very, very impressive. 2 upper state championship appearances. And, talking about his 2 losses in those 2 games, Gaffney and Dutch Fork, how crazy is it to think that in 5 years, Mark Hodge, the 5 short years that Mark Hodge and Gaffney played each other, Mark Hodge will never be able to say he beat Dan Jones because Dan Jones was undefeated against Mark Hodge. So what an accomplishment that is for Dan Jones. But before we get back to Dan and his retirement, Spartanburg this season, Alex, you saw them. I saw them 2 or 3 times. They were fantastic. They were such a good football team all season long. Their defense from Cam Smith to Quest, I mean, they just had so many playmakers on defense. And you talk about Trenton Lynch offensively, a sophomore. He's going to be back for 2 more years. He's a fantastic running back. They're going to be good. They're going to be just okay. Obviously, losing some seniors on the defense side of the football is going to hurt them, but what a season it was for Spartanburg. Truly one of the best teams in the state. Just ran into Dutch Fork, and a lot of people's season over the past 15 years have come to an end, even when they've had good seasons because of Tom Knotts.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Cole. And you talk about the season that Spartanburg had. When you open the season against a tough South Point team that, mind you, also was playing last night and made it just as far in the season as you did, You got a 1-point win over South Point. Then you had that loss to Dutch Fork the following week. And then you just kind of, you beat Broome 47-6. You beat Eastside 49-6. You had a game against Dorman where you won 23-7. You beat Boiling Springs 27-7. You just went on this roll. The Burns game 58-14, 56-20 over Riverside. And then you hit the fourth quarter of the Gaffney game. And I think that was probably an eye-opener for Mark Hodge, his staff, and that team of saying, hey, we were up 24-7, and we gave up 20 points in this fourth quarter. We got to make sure we don't do that again for the rest of this season, or else we're going to be sitting at home come state championship weekend. And unfortunately, again, we talked about it. They hit a buzzsaw in Dutch Fork. There have been a ton of teams over the last 15 years, like you mentioned, Cole, whose seasons have come to an end because of Dutch Fork in the playoffs. And that's just the unfortunate nature of having to take on Tom Knotts and his Dutch Fork teams. But, you held Dutch Fork to 24 last night. That's not something that a lot of teams can say they've done this year. And you had a really impressive run. You had a good playoff win last week against a really impressive playoff win. I should say that against J.O. Mann last week, where you beat them 35-9. Mark Hodge really has things going in the right direction for Spartanburg, especially when you look at a Spartanburg team or a Spartanburg program that, really before Chris Miller had kind of fallen on hard times through the Freddie Brown years and the end of the Doc Davis era.
Yeah.
Obviously we know what Doc Davis was able to do in his time at Spartanburg in the early years, but the end of the Doc Davis era and then kind of into Freddie Brown, Spartanburg had really kind of fallen on hard times.
So now the conversation turns up in Cherokee County from the 2024 season to
something happened over there.
Who will be the next head football coach?
Oh,
Dan Jones. If you didn't know, if you've lived under a rock, announced back in the spring that this would be his final season at Gaffney, and it's over. Dan Jones, his career, his run, his time at Gaffney has come to an end. And, just getting to spend some time with him and around them, number one, appreciate the heck out of him. Number two, you're not going to replace him with another guy like him. And again, there are a ton of good football coaches out there. And Gaffney will get a good one, I'm sure, whether it be internally or from the outside. But there aren't many Dan Jones out there. He just was absolutely fantastic. Just a unique individual that I'll always cherish being able to interview right here on this show and other places. He was as good as they get. And the all-time winningest at Gaffney, I don't know that you can really say. You can have the conversation about other good coaches, but all-time winningest coach, that's pretty much all that needs to be said, Alex.
Yeah, there's a reason why, last night when I was kind of scrolling through Twitter and social media and all, there's a reason why former players kind of were coming out of the woodworks, for lack of a better term, just singing the praises of Dan Jones and saying, oh, he's the GOAT and he's the best that there's ever been. And, you just have so many players that have gone on and are either playing in college now or starting their lives outside of football that have come back and have said, thank you, coach, for everything you did for me. And that's something that you want to see when you're a coach. Obviously you don't want to be a coach that is just, dilly-dally and not caring about the futures of the players. But Dan Jones, you mentioned it, winningest head coach of all time at Gaffney. Longest tenured head coach at Gaffney. He spent 15 seasons as the head coach at Gaffney. He was a part of 7 state championship victories.
Pretty good.
Over his tenure at Gaffney since starting back on Joe Montgomery's staff in the early 90s as an assistant coach, defensive coordinator. Dan Jones' defenses over the years were stout defenses. And then 2 state championships as a head coach back in 2012 and in 2021. And both of those state championships, Cole, were against, we've talked about it, were against the best team in the state
Yep.
in Dutch Fork, and the standard in high school football for the
Yep.
last 15 years in Dutch Fork. So just hats off to Dan Jones on an illustrious career. You know, there were up and down moments, as there are in every coach's career, but Dan Jones is really he's one of the good ones, and you hate to see him no longer walking the sidelines on Friday nights after
Sure.
this year, but hats off to him on a great illustrious career, and you know, I wish him all the best that retirement brings him, and,
Yeah.
and hopefully he can get out and play his pickleball now, because I know that he's starting
Well,
to pick up
he's,
pickleball and enjoying the retired life.
He's absolutely the best, and whoever they do hire, it'll be tough to replace him. But congratulations to Dan Jones on a fantastic career at Gaffney. He deserves all the praise. He deserves a statue out front. I think they should start working on that today. He's the winningest all-time coach. So
Let's hope it looks like him, though.
yeah, that's true. Usually you want statues to look like whoever you're building it after. But whoever they do decide to hire, that's the conversation now. From now until probably, January or February or early March, if it takes that long. But Gaffney, a few months from now, will have a head football coach for the first time, or a new head football coach for the first time in 15 seasons. And what big shoes that coach will have to fill, whether that be someone internally or externally. Let the conversations and message boards and rumors start now on who they'll hire. There are a lot of good coaches out there, but first you have to decide if you want to keep it internal or go outside and hire from the outside. There are a lot of good coaches out there, and I've said that if you're Gaffney, you obviously have to take a look inside at the ones who have been there for a long time. They deserve a shot at it. And then, if you don't want to go inside, you go outside and you look at guys like Straight Heron, who's 15 minutes up the road from you, and who's, by the way, won a state championship or two in his time as head football coach. You look at guys like Paige Walford, who you just lost to last night, who just has a machine rolling at Northwestern High School. And you take a look at guys from other states as well. So there are a lot of good coaches in this state. You take a look at guys at the college level as well, who are assistants who would like to come back and coach at Gaffney and have in my opinion, one of the most prestige jobs in the state of South Carolina, as there are a lot of good jobs, but there are only a handful of jobs that you put into that category, and I think the Gaffney job is one of them, without a doubt. So always appreciate Dan for coming on this show, on my show during the weekdays, and any other time I've interviewed him. He's just been the absolute best. So congratulations to Dan Jones on a heck of a career at Gaffney High School. It's going to be bittersweet to see him go, but I'm sure you'll still see him around from time to time. We'll take a break. Final segment of the show, final segment of the year. On the other side, this is the Saturday Morning Scramble, brought to you by Ingles Markets, Founders Federal Credit Union, and Lumos Internet. Lumos, built for the future.
Scramble on the Fan Upstate.
Final segment of the show. It is the final segment of the year, the final Saturday Scramble of the 2024 season. We'll see you again in August of 2025. One more time, upstate teams that we cover, their scores from last night, not the entire state, but the upstate teams. Spartanburg, they fell to Dutch Fork 24-0. Northwestern defeated Gaffney 58-40. Westside defeated South Point 35-14. Mountain View Prep fell to BHP 30-22. What a game that was. Clinton defeated Fairfield Central 32-21, and Abbeville defeated Louisville 42-18. Those were the scores from the teams that we cover. Congratulations to those who are advancing to the state championship this weekend. Congratulations to those who had a good season but fell short, man. I'll tell you this, people people in the upstate are very passionate about high school football, especially in the state of South Carolina. We have a whole 2-hour show dedicated to it on Saturday mornings, and people, are fans, and we love the fans. But I'll tell you this, it's just hats off to the players and the coaches. So much work goes in to each day, each week's game that goes unnoticed a lot of times. So for all the coaches out there, the assistants as well, and those who are kind of behind the scenes, hats off to you guys, because it's been a fantastic season. And, man, it's a lot of fun covering high school football in the upstate. Not many places in the country high school football is coveted like it is here in South Carolina, and, having shows dedicated just to high school football. So this what we're doing right now doesn't happen anywhere else in the state that I know of. On a signal or a station of this magnitude. So for those that have been a part of it, I just want to say thank you for making it as great as it was all season long. I'll tell you what, the years run together, Alex, but this is our second year together, and the Saturday morning scramble, started in 2019. Can you believe that? 2019, the Saturday Scramble started. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. This is year 6 of the Saturday morning Scramble every Saturday morning. Obviously, for a year or so, Rob Jones did a fantastic job filling in for me. But Saturday morning Scramble has been a staple for 6 years now in the upstate. That's a long time, and we're going to continue that next year. We'll always, always, always appreciate Ingalls Markets, Melissa Level, and the team at Ingalls, Ruby, Sienna, all of them. They do a fantastic job, and they're the main sponsor of this show. They're the reason we're at Ingalls every weekend. It has been confirmed that 2025 will be the same thing, that will be at a different Ingalls. They're having us back 2025, so that'll be a lot of fun. But just appreciate everyone who has been a part of the show and made the show what it is each and every Saturday morning. Alex Guest, one more time, the state championship matchups happening just 5 days from now. For those maybe who just tuned in, the state championship matchups are set. We have 6 games. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so. 6 games next week. The state championships in the 5A Division 1 championship. Dutch Fork and Somerville will go at it.
Dutch Fork, Somerville.
Yeah.
You know what? Somerville's a good team. I think they've found their. I think we talk about replacing coaches. They had a tough, tall task several years ago to replace theirs, but I think they've done a fantastic job. I think they've got their guy. Somerville's not missing a beat. Nobody's going to replace McKissick in what he did, but Somerville is still a really good football team. Dutch Fork, Somerville, that's a South Carolina matchup that we've seen a lot lately, and that'll be a lot of fun. However, I'm going to give the edge to Dutch Fork. What about you on that one?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Cole. I think that Dutch Fork just has too much firepower. Somerville, you talked about it. You talked about what Somerville is and what they've done in the past and under McKissick and all. But I just think that Dutch Fork is just going to be too good for Somerville. And Tom Knotts is 6-0 all time against Somerville.
Pretty good. Pretty good. All right. After that,
you've got Northwestern Irmo.
Northwestern Irmo for a state title. Irmo, very good team. Aaron Brand has been fantastic. However, my early lean there would be the upstate school in Northwestern, Alex.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. After seeing Northwestern last night, we know what Northwestern has year in and year out. They've got that air raid offense. They throw the ball. They've got great connection. There were a couple passes last night where their quarterback just, had the ball on a rope and just picked his
Finley
receiver.
Polk, man, he's really, really good.
Yeah, picked his receiver and said, just got it.
8 minutes out.
Got it in his hands. So I got to give the edge to Northwestern there.
All right, next.
Westside, South Florence.
Wow, have we seen this game before?
Yeah.
Have we? Seems like we have.
Yeah, I think so. Westside, South Florence, yeah.
Man, it's hard to pick against Westside this year.
It really is.
I mean, how do you pick against the Rams and what Brian Lane's done and acquiring talent in the offseason and getting the talent that he's gotten from other schools? I mean, they just they're loaded. They've had a fantastic season. Again, this is the third time I'm going to say the upstate school is going to win. In my mind, Alex, that's who I'm giving the early lean to, the Westside Rams.
Yeah, I agree with you there as well, Cole. I mean, you look at this championship game last year, it was 34-32. Westside won.
And they came back.
They came back and won.
Yes.
I don't think South Florence is as good of a team as they were last year, and I think Westside is better than they were last year.
I watched that game, and I remember South Florence kind of had it.
It
was
South Florence had it, and I think you and I were texting back and forth actually talking about how South Florence was going to get that win, and it was a good season for Brian Lane, first season at Westside, and then they came back and they won it.
Yeah, they did. So Westside, South Florence should be a fantastic one. Belton Honeypath, Oceanside Collegiate, Alex. 2 weeks in a row, Belton Honeypath's having to play a school that operates in a different manner than they do, a charter school per se. I know this. It was a big win last night, but it's going to get tougher. I mean, Oceanside's a really good team, and Belton Honeypath has their work cut out for them. Do you have an early lean in this one?
I'm cheering for the upstate guys.
Me too.
I mean, it's going to be tough for BHP, and Coach Blackston even mentioned earlier when we were talking to him that it's going to be tough. He said they have their work cut out for them. You just mentioned it as well. It's a tough task to go and try to play a school like Oceanside Collegiate, who really is just kind of run roughshod through their entire schedule this year, with the exception of, you lost to Dutch Fork 51-0. And you lost to Irmo to start the season 35-7, but otherwise you've really just kind of run roughshod across that schedule. But I'm leaning BHP. I think the good guys are going to get the win.
I hope so. Pulling for the good guys in this one. Clinton Barnwell, also a state championship game. Congratulations to Corey Fountain. What a season they've had. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to Clinton in this one. I mean, you can't pull against Barnwell. You can't pull for Barnwell, rather, and you got to pull for the upstate team here. Clinton's had a good year. And then Abbeville Cross. I know that's a 1A matchup. Alex, hard to bet against Jamie Nichols. I mean, how do you doubt that what Abbeville has done year in and year out is not going to continue Saturday, or whenever that game is.
Thursday, Monday. Who knows?
Tomorrow, right now.
Yeah. Jamie Nichols, 8 state championships as the head coach at Abbeville.
It's not bad.
234 wins in 21 seasons. So not bad there either. I mean, yeah. I think I said maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago when we were kind of previewing brackets and just guessing at what they would look like and would be. I said then it's hard to bet against Abbeville in that 1A bracket, and I'm going to stick with that. I think Abbeville wins. Like I said earlier in the show today, Cole, I'm going clean sweep for the upstate, quote-unquote, upstate teams.
Clean sweep for the upstate. We shall see. Texter says, speaking about transfer portal for the students, but what about coaches? Any journalist news on coaching changes for next year? There will be some here in the next month and a half, I'm sure, maybe even sooner than that. But, obviously until those happen, we'll have to wait until they actually happen to discuss them. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at Fan Scramble. that is how you can stay in touch with the show during the off season. Texter says, Cole and Alex have enjoyed the show again this year every Saturday. Question, who would be a good choice for the Gaffney job, or will they hire from the current staff? You mentioned the Clinton coach earlier doing a good job, and are there anyone else you can think of? Well, again, I don't know what Gaffney will end up deciding when they put their committee together and the committee goes out and finds their candidates and they have to narrow it down and get it to 3 and then choose from those 3. But, Donnie Littlejohn will have as good as an opportunity to get that job as anybody. That's my opinion. I don't think that, again, that's not coming from anyone who has given me that information, but my opinion is the offensive coordinator who's been there for a long, long time will have as good of a shot as anybody else will. Obviously, he'll want the job. He's a Gaffney guy. He's been there for a long, long time. And if they decide to go within, that's who it'll be. It won't be anyone else in my estimation from the current staff. That's just my opinion. Again, if you're asking for my opinion, if they go from the outside, there are good options out there as well. I think that, there are good options on the inside and outside. It's just a matter of what the committee that's brought together, what they want to do and decide to do. But again, you talk about a guy like Donnie Littlejohn. How has he not earned the opportunity at the head coaching job? I don't know. Again, he's not paying me to say this or anything, but I'm just saying when you look at the reality of it, and I know Gaffney fans have had their issues with him, but my opinion, he deserves a shot at the head coaching job. He's been there. He's put in his time. It's just a matter of what they'll decide to do. But obviously that'll be the large topic of discussion, Alex, throughout the course of the offseason.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the Donnie Littlejohn front. I mean, obviously a coach that's been at Gaffney and been on that coaching staff as long as he has. I mean, you look at, it's kind of the same thing when Dan Jones came in. Phil Strickland left town and Gaffney was trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? Obviously, when Strickland left, it was in like April of 2010. So you're kind of late in the game of trying to hire a coach. But, Gaffney went from within, and we see what that did for him. Yep. 15 years later, you've got the winningest coach in Gaffney history and 2 state championships more. And so, I mean, you got to give Donnie Littlejohn a shot if he wants it. He's got to be in the conversation.
He does, and he will be, in my mind, in my estimation. Again, I think there are good options on both sides. I know a lot of people are on the mindset of they do or don't want it to be a Gaffney guy, but at the end of the day, none of that really matters if you're winning football games. People talk about that, but if you're winning, you don't think, oh, I wish it was a Gaffney guy. You don't care. If it is, great. If it's not great, you want to win. So, again, that'll be the fun conversation. But for Alex Guest, I'm Cole Bryson. I want to say thanks to Ben Pittman back in the Ingles Market Studios. This is the Saturday Scramble. We'll see you in August of next year.
High school football